Hello, everyone, and welcome to the JuvoHub Podcast. Jonathan Saar, your host. Thank you for being here. This is part one of an 8-part series on learning theory. I've never really touched on it in this podcast before, and a very important statement for me to make clear to my awesome audience: I am not an expert, but I love reading about it. It's an incredible subject, and kudos to all of the amazing, super smart, educated people who have put themselves out there to help us understand learning behavior. So that's the purpose of this series. I'm going to look at references. I'm going to highlight some key points, some things that I've read. And the purpose behind the podcast is to look beyond training and think of what it takes for people to be trained, for people to retain information. So that's the purpose behind this 8-part series. Today's topic is on andragogy. And I'm going to pause there for a second. Andragogy. Yeah, see, I had to listen to it again just to make sure I was pronouncing it right. So the definition is the method and practice of teaching adult learners, adult education. So there's a word for it. That's cool. When I started diving into all of the theories, I didn't even realize that this existed. And I felt, wow, man, that's a fundamental. Why don't I know that? The difference between teaching children and teaching adults. So that's fundamentally the discussion point. I encourage you to look it up. Do your own research. What is the difference between teaching children and teaching adults? And when you say it out loud, it's like, yeah, of course. Yeah, there's a huge difference in the two. So, but it's good to know what those differences are. And there's a couple of articles that help me out a lot, and I'm gonna make sure that they're in the show notes. One was from learning-theories.com. That was a really great resource. I'll make sure you have very old website, but information's still relevant. And then as a comparison article, cornerstone.edu, another great site, great university, and they have a whole article on the topic itself. Andragogy. Got to say that a few times. So here are a couple of items that I had down, just high level. I'll leave it up to you. Would love your comments on how this benefited you as an educator. So, and especially like, how does it apply to our audience? And in particular, I know a lot of you are property management. So where do you see the benefit that comes? Because learning leads. That's what we do. So I put down 4 principles of adult learning. Again, these were just items that kind of stuck out to me. I'll share them with you and have a couple of thoughts on them. Adults need to be involved in the planning and evaluation of their instruction. So is that part of the process? And the question is, why? Why do adults want to be involved? So I was thinking of, how would that apply in my world? I like it when I'm asked about what do I want to learn about, or how do I want to learn? What's my learning style? How do I best retain information? So surveying is something we have talked about on this podcast before. The benefits of surveying your target audience. You need to know, what would their preference be? So that resonated with me. Nice principle of adult learning. Principle number 2, I highlighted: experience provides the basis for learning activities. So hands-on training and also the mistake process, being involved in it, that's because we have something that we may fall back on because of just having life experience. So that's a very interesting principle of what and how, as adults, how we like to learn. Adults are more interested in subjects with immediate relevance. I have found out the hard way when the audience doesn't realize what's in it for me, they're just disconnected. It's like, why am I here? So I've had to make adjustments with, all right, what's the purpose behind this training, this objective, this initiative that needs relevance? So does your audience understand the purpose behind it? Again, we're talking about Andragogy, teaching adults. This is what we want. And then the fourth item, adult learning is problem-centered rather than content-oriented. Now, there's another theory that I feel applies to this particular principle, but in general, I get that. I can work with it. We're always trying to solve problems. Being an adult is always about trying to solve problems. And it's not necessarily that the problems are negative. It's just something that is in our work, in our life. It's a challenge. We're trying to overcome it. We need to know more about it. It's not just simply, oh, I would love to just take in this content. From a child's perspective, that's exactly what it is. And I think that's a great visual. I love watching my grandchildren when they see something for the first time. That's just what they are. They have no inclination to trying to solve some problem that's been sitting in the back of their mind in their beautiful little brains. But it's new, and it's like, oh, it's just something new. So that's content oriented. Whereas for us, that may not be our predisposition. So part one of the series of understanding how people learn, fundamental to all of us as educators, and for you who are listening to the show and you're interested in being an educator, interested in learning and development, take a minute and do your own research on Andragogy and how it applies, adult learning. So I'll put the references in here. Make sure you check out JuvoHub.com for all kinds of other podcasts, blogs that we have, and other resources that are available, and our online course catalog that's available too for you. So thank you for tuning in. Remember, effective training, it starts with understanding your audience. Really important. Check out our show notes. Thank you for being here. JuvoHub, Jonathan Saar. We're learning leads. Take care.